Did you know that there's a country where owning a pet hamster could land you in jail? Welcome to our countdown of 10 countries where Americans might not feel so welcome in 2024. Imagine being an avid traveler packing your bags to explore the beauty of foreign lands, only to find out that you're not exactly welcomed with open arms. In some cases, it's due to political tensions, sometimes it's cultural differences, and other times it's because of some incredibly strict laws that might seem a bit unusual to outsiders. This isn't your standard travel guide. We're diving into the unexpected, the surprising, the downright bizarre. We've ranked these countries based on a combination of factors, and we're going to take you on a journey that will challenge your perceptions and maybe even make you rethink your travel bucket list. So, are you ready to discover these surprising destinations? Buckle up, because we're starting with number 10. At number 10, we have Vietnam. Here, owning a pet hamster is considered illegal. Now, you might be scratching your head wondering why such a cute, harmless creature is outlawed. Well, it's a cultural thing. In Vietnam, hamsters are seen as pests, not pets. They can carry diseases and cause considerable damage to crops and food storage. It's a stark contrast to how we view these little furballs back home. On top of that, it's important to remember that the relationship between the US and Vietnam has been strained due to historical events. The aftermath of the Vietnam War still lingers, affecting the attitudes of some locals towards Americans. And while it's not an outright ban, the tension can make for an uncomfortable atmosphere. But don't let this discourage you entirely. Vietnam is a beautiful country with a rich history and culture. Just remember to leave your pet hamster at home. So if you're an American with a love for hamsters, Vietnam might not be your first choice for a holiday destination. Coming in at number 9, we have North Korea, a country where you won't find a single McDonald's. Imagine that, a place where the golden arches don't light up the night sky. The reason for this absence is deeply rooted in the political tension that has long existed between the US and North Korea. This tension has given birth to a set of strict laws and regulations. North Korea's isolationist policy has meant that many American brands, McDonald's included, are simply non-existent in the country. This is a land where the idea of fast food has a completely different definition. So if you're an American who can't live without your Big Mac, you might want to think twice about North Korea. After all, a world without McDonald's is a world some of us may not be ready to face. At number 8, we have Saudi Arabia, a place where taking selfies in certain locations can get you in serious trouble. This is a country steeped in rich history and tradition, but it's also a place of strict laws and customs. You see, in Saudi Arabia, certain areas are considered sacred and photographing them is viewed as disrespectful. This includes religious sites, government buildings, and even some public places. It's not just about respecting the culture, though. The political relationship between the US and Saudi Arabia has been, let's just say, complicated. This often translates into a lack of leniency for American tourists who fail to adhere to local customs and rules. So imagine you're there, the sun setting over the desert, the call to prayer echoing in the distance, and you're itching to snap that perfect selfie. But remember, every picture tells a story, and in Saudi Arabia, that story could land you in hot water. So if you're an American who loves to document every moment with a selfie, Saudi Arabia might not be your ideal vacation spot. At number 7, we have Russia, a country with a frosty relationship with the US, and we're not just talking about the weather. This icy tension between the two nations isn't simply political chess. It's rooted in deep-seated cultural differences and a complex history. In Russia, you'll find laws that may leave many Americans scratching their heads. For instance, it's illegal to drive a dirty car in Moscow, and it's considered bad luck to shake hands over a threshold. Also, it's not uncommon for locals to give you a stern look if you're smiling without a reason. They reserve their smiles for genuine moments, rather than the customary American grin. Moreover, Russia's political climate can be a bit frosty towards Americans. With the ongoing diplomatic tussles, it's not uncommon for American travelers to feel the chill. So, if you're an American who's not a fan of cold receptions, Russia might not be on your travel bucket list. At number 6, we have Cuba, a country where Netflix is banned. Picture this, a land where the concept of binge-watching your favorite shows is as foreign as a snowstorm in the Sahara. It's not just about the ban on Netflix. This stems from the historical tension between the US and Cuba, a relationship that has been strained for over half a century. Cuba is a country of strict laws and regulations, a place where the government keeps a tight grip on information and entertainment. It's not just Netflix. Many American digital services and platforms find themselves on the wrong side of the law in this Caribbean nation. It's a different world, one that might seem a little too quiet for our American friends. So if you're an American who can't live without your Netflix binge sessions, Cuba might not be your ideal holiday destination. Coming in at number 5, we have Iran, a country known for its anti-Western sentiment. With a long history of political tension between the United States and Iran, the relationship has been a roller coaster of diplomatic highs and lows. This tension, coupled with a significant cultural divide, has fostered an atmosphere where Americans may not feel entirely comfortable. Iran's rich cultural heritage is steeped in tradition, but it's also known for its strict laws that may seem alien to Westerners. For instance, women are required to wear a hijab in public, and there are severe restrictions on freedom of speech and expression. Social norms and customs are vastly different from what many Americans are accustomed to, which can lead to misunderstandings and unintentional offense. Furthermore, the political climate can be unpredictable, with instances of anti-American protests and rallies. While these events don't represent the views of all Iranians, they do contribute to a general feeling of unwelcome for Americans. So if you're an American, Iran might not be the most welcoming place for you. At number 4, we have Venezuela, America's not-so-friendly neighbor. Now, this isn't about being bad neighbors. It's more about the political tension that's been brewing between these two nations. The US and Venezuela have a history of conflicts, disputes, and disagreements that make it quite a chilly relationship. In the heart of South America, Venezuela is a country with its own set of challenges. From economic instability to social issues, Venezuela has been grappling with problems that make it a difficult destination for Americans. Political unrest, hyperinflation, and a humanitarian crisis have put the country in a tough spot. Now, it's not that Venezuelans don't like Americans. It's just that the political climate and ongoing issues make it a tricky place for Americans to feel welcome or at ease. It's like being invited to a party where you know there's going to be a heated argument. You might think twice before showing up. So if you're an American, Venezuela might not be the best place for a weekend getaway. Coming in at number 3, we have Syria, a country that's virtually off limits to Americans. Now you might be wondering why. The answer lies in the ongoing conflict and political tension between the US and Syria. This Middle Eastern country has been embroiled in a devastating civil war for over a decade, causing a humanitarian crisis and making it a no-go zone for many, including Americans. The US government has strongly advised against all travel to Syria due to terrorism, civil unrest, kidnapping, and armed conflict. In fact, the US Embassy in Damascus suspended its operations in February 2012 and hasn't reopened since. This means that if an American citizen faces trouble in Syria, they would have very limited support from their home country. The political tension between the US and Syria also plays a significant role. The US has imposed numerous sanctions on Syria, demonstrating a strained relationship. So if you're an American, Syria is probably not on your vacation shortlist. At number 2, we have Afghanistan, a country with a starkly different culture and lifestyle. Nestled in the heart of Asia, Afghanistan has been a focal point of global politics for decades now. The United States and Afghanistan, despite their shared history, are at odds due to ongoing conflict and political tension. Afghanistan's culture is a rich tapestry woven through centuries of tradition and heritage. Yet, it's starkly different from the American lifestyle. The country's strict laws reflect its deeply ingrained customs and norms, which can be alien and overwhelming for outsiders. Women's rights, freedom of expression, and personal liberties, as understood in the West, are often at odds with Afghanistan's societal rules. The country's conservative outlook, stemming from its religious and tribal underpinnings, can be a shock for those accustomed to the American way of life. The ongoing conflict, coupled with the cultural differences, makes Afghanistan a challenging destination for American travelers. The political tension and cultural clash reinforce the barriers, making the journey more daunting than delightful. So for Americans, Afghanistan might not be the most comfortable place to visit. And finally, at number 1, we have, well, you'll have to wait and see. Here we are, folks, at the peak, the pinnacle, the top of the heap. The suspense is thick, isn't it? You could cut it with a knife. As we've journeyed through the countdown, we've traversed icy tundras and selfie-free zones, countries with no Netflix, and lands where McDonald's golden arches are nowhere in sight. Every stop on our countdown has had its own unique reasons for landing on this list. Differences in culture, political tensions, or a simple lack of Western conveniences have all played a part. But which country could possibly top them all? Which nation stands alone as the place where Americans might find the frostiest reception in 2024? The anticipation has been building up, hasn't it? But patience, my friends, is a virtue. We're just about to lift the curtain on this grand reveal. So hold on to your hats and prepare for a surprise. Stay tuned to find out which country takes the top spot on our list of countries where Americans might not feel so welcome in 2024.